Yo, this is bright, man. Wow. Way too bright. That's too bright, man. Right, that's a bit better. Now I can see myself in the screen. Yeah, I wanted to finish that topic from last night, the Krassa Messa, because my battery ran flat. So I wasn't able to end in the most professional manner. It just kind of like went flat and I had to end the live so I could save it, so I could post it up. But I wanted to make a few more points touching on that Krassa Messa topic last night. And we were speaking about how there's a lot of Christed ones among us, within our family circles, within our friend circles. I shouldn't say a lot. I should say there are those among us. It's not like there's millions of them. Do you understand? But there's enough Christed ones among us, spread out among us in our families and our social circles, that we should be identifying these people and paying heed to the vast amounts of research that they've did, because sometimes, like I've said before, a lot of us are looking for shortcuts. But yesterday we were speaking about Christed ones, prophets, sages, scribes. We were speaking about the fact that you have two sides of the fence, two agendas. You have the Christed ones, or the prophets of Anu, you understand, of the agreeable, and then you have the agents of Lucifer, who are also presenting themselves as Christed ones and stuff. And what I wanted to say after getting into the Dr. York stuff and shouting out to Dr. York, I wanted to speak a bit about the persecution of prophets and how prophets don't come on earth and have fantastic lives and teach us from living in luxury. They come here and they face persecution. The first wave of prophets, or volunteers if you want to use that word, they were killed for the stuff they came here to teach humans. They were hung. They were burnt at the stake and called witches and heretics and children of Satan and stuff, because that's how far ahead of the time they were when they had to come into this world to try and speak to humans. So imagine like how we have it now, trying to tell people about the wonton soup, you know what I mean? Trying to tell people not to take the wonton soup, and trying to open people's eyes up to certain different levels of information, whether we're talking about archons, alpha draconians, or the falsification of history. It's hard work talking to these humans. So imagine some of these other Christed ones and sages, when they came in their time, they never had a good time here on earth. Half of these guys live life depressed. If it wasn't for what they knew and their trust in the process and the purpose of why they're here and what they're doing, it would have been a lost cause. So being a Christed one, what I wanted to say yesterday, what I didn't say enough of, it's not for the faint-hearted, man. It's not for the weaklings among us, or those of us who are easily influenced by other people's opinions, or easily offended by other people's name calling or titles, or the way that they treat you. This is for only the most bravest of us, only the mentally strongest of us, only the emotionally strongest of us. It's not for no weaklings, man. So most of the prophets that came, if you study any of the prophets, whether we're talking about religious prophets, Bible and Qurans and stuff, or whether we're talking about our fallen soldiers like Bobby Hemmett and Noble Drew Ali and that kind of prophets, yeah, it's all the same. They all face struggle, challenge, persecution, things that they have to overcome. And it's because of the resilience of these people and the strength of their will that more time, even in failing, they succeed. Because sometimes you're not going to be successful at what you do as a prophet or a Christed one. But the fact that you made an attempt to enlighten the world and enlighten people, that's the victory within itself. Whether you're successful or not, you've planted that seed. It's like Akhenaten. He wasn't successful in his Amarna revolution in that period, but the seeds of what he planted, even though he wasn't successful in his time in Egypt, all over, when you look at it in a broader scope, he was successful, because we're still holding on to certain jewels today that he brought in his reformation and stuff, that is going to help us, the world now where it is, awaken into the awake, the 5D where we're going with it now. So it all plays a part, and it's not necessarily that you're going to be successful in your mission, but the fact that you've applied yourself and gave your all and did your best, that's the victory in itself. You're a winner. So the persecution of the prophets is well documented, man, in the Torah, in the Bible, in the Quran, how much prophets lost their lives and were turned into martyrs. You understand? Messiahs of the past. Yeah. And also I wanted to say yesterday as well, when I was talking about how Akhenaten wrote the Psalms. Yeah. He was the Christed one who wrote the Psalms, not King David. Yeah. When I was saying that, yeah, hold on. Yeah, Akhenaten and King David are not only tied in terms of the Psalms. Do you understand what I'm saying? But if you study the Jewish doctrine, the Jews tell you that King David, yeah, because Dawood in Hebrew means beloved, yeah, and they tell you in their Hebrew doctrine that King David was also a Messiah. So it wasn't just Jesus that was a Messiah. King David was also looked upon as a Messiah in his time. A lot of people don't know that study the Bible and study the Jewish doctrine and stuff. King David was known as a Messiah. In the King David story in the Psalms, he gets put on a cross. You understand? He gets put on a cross and crucified, yeah, but he doesn't die. That's a whole story for another time as well. But ask any Jew that is a proper Jew, and they will tell you, yeah, King David is a Messiah. He's known as a Christed one. So it's not just Jesus that's the Christed one. And the fact that we know Akhenaten was the Osiris of his time links him and King David again, because like I said, they're telling you King David was a Christed one or was a Messiah. He was beloved. Do you understand what I'm saying? So yeah, a lot of the early prophets that came into the world, who I call the volunteers, they were killed for the changes that they were trying to bring forth into this realm on earth. You understand? So when you go into ancient history, a lot of people got killed for speaking out against the lies and the illusions. And then even when you come into like just Enlightenment period Europe with Galileo, how all the Mzungu thought that the earth was the center of the solar system, and Galileo said, hold on, the earth's not the center, the sun's the center, and all the planets go around the sun. He could have got killed for that shit there. He got put on the house arrest for the rest of his life. He couldn't even publish them findings until after his death. His family published his research after his death. Do you understand? You'll be seen as a heretic. The church is coming for you, or the mosque is coming for you if you start exposing their illusion. It's the same thing today with us Christed ones when we want to expose mainstream media, or we want to expose world government or the cabal. They're going to come for us. That's why you're the target. You, the unvaccinated. They don't care about nothing except for you. They don't even care about the virus. So yeah, a lot of the early volunteers, the first messiahs, yeah, like Asaru, they had to die. Do you understand what I'm saying? They lost their lives, man. Them Christed ones. We're having it easier right now. Even though we're persecuted and we're targeted and tarnished by the media and stuff, and called truthers and red pillars or whatever, we wake up in the morning with the breath of life. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So some of us are here to awaken ourselves. Some of us are here to teach others and inspire others. Some of us are also here to free our bloodline, to to raise the level of consciousness in our own bloodline. Because a lot of us, we fell for what the Alpha Draconians were speaking about. And when it gives you that fallen angel story, a lot of beings fell with them. Don't just think it's just 200 fallen reptilian draconians who fell down to earth. A lot of beings, us, you understand, a lot of Riskians, a lot of higher beings fell with them and fell for the flattery of them talking about their paradise on earth and pleasure. And now we're all down here living for pleasure. Do you understand what I'm saying? So a lot of us listened and fell down here. And that's why it's like a second chance for us right now, those of us that did fall from the heights, yeah, to awaken yourself. Reawaken yourself to remember, put it back together. Do you understand? And to free your bloodline. Because there's a Christed one in every bloodline, really. Do you understand? I don't want to just make the term loose, like everybody's a Messiah. No, but every family has a Messiah type person that is there to kind of heighten the consciousness of that bloodline and that family. And they're usually the black sheep. They're usually the one that's ridiculed as crazy. Or do you understand what I'm saying? And they're not perfect. Yeah, that's another thing. That family member who may be the black sheep, they might have a drug problem or might have something else that makes the family ridicule them and not listen to what they're saying. But that doesn't cancel out the message that they came to bring or the kind of think. You understand what I'm saying? They just crumbled under some, so a lot of them crumble under pressures and develop like dependencies and codependencies and drug habits and addictions and certain different stuff. But if you take away all of that stuff and just judge the person, that person came to bring a higher knowledge to the family that the family wasn't really heeding. A lot of us get stuck here on our mission and think that we've failed because we can't get the kind of success we kind of expected. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm here to tell you, don't think like that. Like, even if you think you're not successful, you're successful. You're contributing to the unified whole. And a lot of us prophets or Christed ones is what I call tortured geniuses. I consider myself one of them, where you're really a genius. You should be prospering in this fucking matrix. But because of your purpose and because of how real you are, you're not going to be able to prosper like the average sellout who just sells themselves out and just anything goes or does shit to please the crowd and stuff. Your authenticity is different. Your principles are different. So it's like a torture being here on earth and being in this society and being around this kind of like collective human mind state, yours, mine, haves, have-nots, like monetary system. All of that shit is like kryptonite to me. Do you understand? Where my essence come from, we don't work like that. We just deal with love, man, and we just give. Do you understand? It's all about giving. What can I give to improve the quality of life around me? But now it's come to, okay, I gotta have this and load up this amount of money, chase a million or whatever, while people are starving. You can just walk past a homeless person in the street and all that. That shit's detrimental, man. You understand? So a lot of us Christed ones are what I would call tortured geniuses. Guys, I can't even see the screen, yeah? So any comments on that, I'm gonna have to get to it after because of the sun, the glare. I can't, and I've turned it right up, but I can't see the screen. I can barely see myself just to make sure I'm in the right part of the camera, yeah? So where am I? I'm not gonna dwell long, like an hour and a half or nothing. I'm just gonna fly through this and leave it, yeah? I just felt like doing it because the weather was good. Also, relationships, yeah? When you meet someone in a relationship, you meet them at a certain level of consciousness, yeah? And then what happens a lot of the time is one of the people in the relationship goes through some kind of spiritual growth or some kind of transformational growth where the other one doesn't. And once that happens and you're a Christed one, if you're a prophet or you're a Christed one, you're a scribe or you've got a real high divine purpose, you have to be with someone who also has a divine purpose in the same way you have, or they recognize your divine purpose and they're here to assist you in bringing that to the fullness. Either or. You can't just have a conformer or somebody who wants to overlook who you are and what you do and just wants to assimilate into society, because they're gonna either convince you to assimilate or they're gonna slow you down and hinder what you're doing so you can't really progress to where you need to be progressing to. And it's just gonna come to conflict, arguments, conflict, because it's gonna be two different agendas. Yeah, one's gonna go left and one's gonna go right. So you're pulling in different directions. And that's just gonna lead to a whole bunch of arguing all the time, squabbling all the time, holding grudges, silent treatment. And you see all that type of shit. It's contagious. You shouldn't even be sleeping in the same bedroom because the auras keep mixing. And then that's just gonna keep leading to this same conflict. And a lot of us are not brave enough to recognize that. Even though we see it, we don't want to admit that to ourselves. So we keep pushing in these dead-end relationships where you're really not winning. You're not going to win in that relationship. It's always going to be a war or a tug of war or a fight or you trying to translate your spirituality. As to why I say to people, I hope that you find a spouse that can keep up with you spiritually. So you don't have to spend your lifetime translating your shit for them. They can read that shit off the wall like the hieroglyph. They can read you like the glyph. Do you understand? You have to have somebody who's got the same or similar agenda as you have, the same or similar spirituality as you have, the same or similar purpose of you have. If not, at least they have a full understanding of it and what it means to you, and vice versa, you of theirs and stuff. You can't just force fit people. It's not going to work. You're going to grow in different directions, and there's a lot of relationships right now under the thumb because of this lockdown stuff where one parent wants to take the 1 ton soup, the other parent's trying to convince them not to take the 1 ton soup. You understand? That is like a dagger in the nail, the last nail in the coffin for any relationship. Not many relationships are going to be able to survive something like that. So you got to be very careful about the person that you give your intimate self to, because that's going to hinder or help how you're able to perform your function as the purpose you are. Whatever purpose you have on earth, they're either going to hinder it or they're going to complement it. So it's not just about how big her ass is or how cute she is in the face or none of that shit no more, or how big his muscles are or what car he drives. You understand what I'm saying? Like, people, we really got to start seeing past this illusion, this illusory matrix shit that they've programmed us with, because we're dooming ourselves with these doomed relationships because we're not trying to see the soul of the person. We're trying to see everything else. And I'm not saying don't be attracted to pretty face and ass and stuff, and titties and shit. I am, hell yeah. But what I'm saying is, don't hook everything on that shit. There's shit that's more important than that first. Get the foundation first, and then, you understand, the other way around. Don't just be stuck up with physicality, because when you meet someone, you're not going to stay at that consciousness. You're going to go through a growth. And if you're not both on the same page with what you want to grow with, then that means you're going to grow apart. Yeah? And also, it means if you've got the wrong spouse and you're passionate about what you do, like let's say knowledge, you're passionate about knowledge, you get the wrong spouse, you're going to be too intense for them, because you're going to be always talking about this knowledge, and it's going to come to a point where it overwhelms them, because she ain't on the level or he ain't on the level of that knowledge. If you're the woman doing that, you're a woman and you're passionate about your black history and your this and your that, and you got a bloke who's more like a Negropean, who don't really want to get into the history or the spirituality and you understand, he's still on that Jesus stuff. Like, we got to fix this shit, man. Yeah. Understand as well, the Christed ones are the ones that will be able to separate the truth, the wheat from the chaff. Because remember, there's so much information out here right now, you can't even tell what information is accurate and what information is misinformation. More time, it's just information out there. Stories are coming from every angle on every media outlet, through every way. Yeah, it's happening. Yeah, and that's why I'm saying it's so important for you and your spouse to be on the same page if you're a Christed one, because you can't have different agendas under one roof or in one relationship, because them agendas are on different paths. Yeah, and you have to find out and admit to yourself, if your missus is a conformer, she's a conformer. Or if your mister is a conformer, he's a conformer. If you try and deny it and fool yourself, you're going to end up in a very unhappy place real soon. You understand what I'm saying? Find someone who can keep up with you spiritually, so you don't have to keep translating your soul. Find somebody who's got the same purpose and the same meaning or similar in life, or at least has a full understanding of your views on your purpose here and who you are with your identity and shit like that. It's very important for a Christed one, you understand? And also, trust in the process. You may come to the decision where you're like, yo, what I'm doing as a Christed one is so important to me. I recognize now that this person I'm with is not the person for me. That's a real hard thing to do. Do you understand? But If you don't have the courage to end that relationship, then more time your ancestors are going to do it, and it's not going to be nice. It's not going to end well. There's going to be no reconciliation, or it's going to be like a shock to your system. So it's best you find the strength, if you are in that situation, to do that. Do you understand? To come out of that situation, man. Self-realization and discovery, and admitting the truth to yourself is so important as a Christed one. We can't live in a lie. If we try living a lie, hello, Mr. Squirrel. We try living a lie, it's peak for us. Yeah? You want to come listen, man. You trying to come listen. We can't live in a lie. We like maths. So what I'm saying, trust in the process. If you have to make that decision where you see it like that, like this is not the person for me, the girl or the guy for me, and you have to make that decision, trust in the process, man, and do, because that's self-love. And you can't really love nobody in the right way without first having a self-love. Do you understand? Because even with, when you go into your pineal gland and open that golden temple, and you start going on your own journey around the Akasha records, you understand what I'm saying? You start realizing that you have permanent things in your life and you have temporary things in your life. Some of them are lessons. Some of them might be people. Some people are permanent, some people are temporary. Some lessons are permanent, some lessons are temporary. How you separate the temporary from the permanent is the lesson. The lesson that you learn from any experience will either be a temporary lesson or a permanent lesson. You understand what I'm saying? And I also wanted to mention yesterday, what I forgot to mention is, not all, some religious prophets of today are good too. I'm talking about like that pastor who they killed, Pastor Darby and Ray Higgins and man like that, that will tell you the real truth. They'll come through Christianity, but it doesn't make them any less of a person than somebody on the Kemet thing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Somebody who listens Bobby Hemmett or somebody who listens Malachi York. You understand? Don't look down on people because he may be speaking from a Christian frequency, or he may be speaking from a Muslim frequency, or he may be speaking from a, you understand, Hindu frequency. Prophets come from all areas, because remember what I said, a prophet is not sent unless people have strayed away from the truth. So you get prophets in the church, in the Christian church. Some of them, they have to kill them. They'll be like, shit, that Pastor Darby, bro, he ain't one of us. He a motherfucking, they have to wipe him down. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you don't look down on religious prophets of today. Rest in peace, Pastor Darby, and all the great work and revelations that he did. And people like Ray Higgins, who do a lot of great work. You understand? And also be aware that there's child prophets. Yeah? They don't really show us them unless it's some Mzungu youth that they want to show us child prodigy or prophet or something. But they have messiahs being born in Nigeria and other places of Africa. And these babies are born speaking. Google the shit. They're born speaking, they're born reading Quran and all types of shit. And they give speeches. There was one of them, he was born speaking. I'm not even going to give the story, I might as well. Basically, this is in Nigeria, I can't remember which part, but there was a pastor of a church with his wife, and their wife had a baby. And the next door were Muslims, and their wife had a baby. So even though they're different religions, they get on as neighbors. But anyway, one time the Christian one, her baby started making these weird noises. This is what the story says, started making these weird noises. So she ran next door, knocked on for the neighbor to come over and tell her, see if she can help, because the baby's going on weird, and the woman was scared. Remember, this is the Christian baby. So the Muslim woman comes over to the Christian woman's house to see if we can troubleshoot what's going on with your baby, your newborn. And the Muslim woman apparently starts crying. So the Christian woman asks her, why are you crying? And the Muslim woman says, yo, your baby's reading the whole Quran in Arabic. He's reading literally the mumbling that he was making. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen Rahmani Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in Ihdinas siratal mustaqim siratal ladzina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. So it sounds something like this. I just gave you Surah Al-Fatiha in Arabic. So imagine a baby saying that. It can sound like if you don't know Arabic, you're like, yo, this is some mumble thing. That baby at 5 years old started giving speeches to big audiences speaking about God, the real Allah, not none of this crap shit, none of this dogma crap. And when I was speaking to one brother from Nigeria in Leicester here, he was telling me, yo, that's not the only one. He says there's loads of these guys. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm trying to show you there's Christed ones being born all over the globe in various different levels. Child prophets and messiahs and stuff. You understand? Going forward, I'm speaking to us, the 144,000 Christed ones, the elite, yeah, who can see this world for what it is, who can see this scamdemic for what it is. You have to be an elect. You have to be a Christed one to be able to understand this at the core level. I'm not saying just be suspicious of it, because there's loads of people who are suspicious of it. But I'm saying to understand it at the core level, to be able to translate it to people and show them what's going on and give them receipts and write books and do lives and rare, that type of shit, you got to be a Christed one. And I think there's 144,000 people minimum, yeah, right now, that's doing this same thing that I'm doing right here on YouTube and other platforms. You understand? And also, let me end on this, because I said I wasn't going to be long. Yeah, the Messiah that the Mzungu are making now is an AI, artificially intelligent God. They're creating an AI God. They're not just creating AI, or we're creating artificial intelligence. The ultimate goal of their artificial intelligence is to create an artificially intelligent God who they're going to call their new Jesus. That's their second coming of Jesus. They're going to bring him back through the AI, their Christed one. It's going to be an AI thing. And that's why it's going to be linked to the cloud, like we told you in the book Coronation. So this is not new stuff I'm saying. We've been saying this since we put our books out. It's leading to an AI God or an AI Christed one, an AI Messiah, AI Jesus. That's what they're going to do. And everybody will be linked to this cloud. And it will be run by this AI God. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if Jesus is coming back in the form that Christians are talking about, the only Jesus that's coming back is a brass clock AI God. And that's the ending of the Christed ones. That's what I wanted to say yesterday, but because my battery went flat, I left all of that out. Guys, like I said, I can't see what you've wrote on the screen, yeah, because it's too bright out here. So what I'm gonna do, I'll load it up, because this is just a short one. I'll load it up and I'll answer you on the thread, yeah? That's the end of the transmission. Peace, salute to you guys who tuned in, the two of you. I think I can see two people. Salute, man. Namaste.